What's going on, my friends? How's everyone doing? You all right? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. That's actually a copy of a guy from The Witcher. How you all doing? Good afternoon, everyone. Celebrate England's culture and green and pleasant land. I will be. Sweet, he put a horror movie on. Oh, wait. No, I'm here, species. I'm here. Yeah, don't get rude. Hello, Mick T. Yep, you saw the video then about the St George's Parade. Rather crazy, weren't it? How's everyone doing today on this wonderful day? My drink's over there, so I'm going to have to get that, and I. So we're going to be getting into the Epstein files. Well, the Peter Mandelson files. I'm going to be doing a video about this in the morning. I guess you've all seen this by now, but it's actually quite damning, really. And hopefully he'll be removed from office. He bloody well should be. Let's be honest. So how you all doing? You good? Everyone feeling good? Everyone feeling sexy? Let me just get that over there. I can see you lot. That's that. And I think that's right. Yeah, I think we're all good. Right, let's just get my drink and we'll get stuck straight into it. Oh, I'll tell you what I could do with, before we get going, I should have some paracetamols. Eating bacon and eggs on toast. Nice. Nice. 1 minute. Right, here we go. Number 10 releasing the Mandy files. Better than nothing, I suppose. Oh, it's pretty damning. The stuff that's in there is pretty flipping damning, I'm telling you. It's Harry's not resigned, knowing that this is coming out. I don't know how, because he should be. Right, so let's get straight into it. There's 150 pages, so I'm just going to go through what we can go through. So you can all see that, can't you? You can all see this, can't you? No one even here to tell me that it's daylight and Ramadan. Well, that's life for you, boy. That's life for you. Right, so let's get into it. Part one. Well, we'll just go through bits and bobs. Do you know what I mean? But I'm going to be releasing a video in the morning about it properly. Yum, yum, yum. Cheers, everyone. That's all right, that is. I'm not going to lie, I'm quite enjoying that. Oh, don't lose your vape. Don't lose your vape. Okay. So let's just fire in. This is the beginning, obviously, which isn't that important. I've only read a couple of bits and bobs, but some of it is quite damning. Why is that? Oh, that's why. There you go. Right, there we go. Cool. Right, yeah, some of it is quite damning. So whether he's going to resign over this, I think he should, because there's stuff in it that proves that he lied in Parliament, which I suppose is under oath in some type of way. Ice cold Coca-Cola, lovely jubbly. Cannot beat a nice line, or a nice drink of Coke. Nearly got me there. Let's see. Nope, we don't need to see that. Don't need to see that. Nope. Declaration. Right, this is the part that's... this is the part that's... I'll tell you what, I don't know if I can see... Yeah, I'll try and do it as one page, because... next item, previous item, view... Nope. 2 pages, single page. There we go. Yeah, this is the one that's going to get him. That's going to get him fired, or should at least get him arrested, in my opinion. So you'll remember back about a month ago when Keir Starmer was challenged over whether he knew about Mandelson being connected to Jeffrey Epstein, and he said, "I don't know. Does it count as being under oath if you're in Parliament? If you lie in Parliament, does that count as being under oath? I don't know what the law is." But anyway, this is a due due diligence checklist. Peter Mandelson, HMA, Washington. These checks were conducted on the 4th of December 2024. Checks should not be considered exhaustive. So let's just go through this as it happened. Professional and financial relationships. This is regarding Peter Mandelson. Frequent paid engagement, primarily to investment and banking sectors. Why has that changed? Did I just knock the camera? I didn't mean to do that. It's on my foot, isn't it? Oh, you silly sausage. You'll have to move that. It's just because I've moved all the cameras around, haven't I? I know. It's all a bit exciting. Don't worry. Don't worry, I'm still here. I haven't disappeared under the desk. Not yet. Okay, so frequent paid engagements, primarily to investment and banking sectors, Greenbrook, Santander, Rocos, Capital Management, City Macro, Investment Conference, Barclays, Citigroup, DP World, Barclays, etc. So banking. To note, paid speaking engagement would have to cease if appointed. Okay, so he wouldn't have no speaking appointments if he was appointed by the UK government. Global Council President, strategic advice consultancy founded by Mandelson. Let's see, of which he remains president and the chairman of International Advisory Board. He continues to have significant control, although he resigned his directorship in May of 2024. May of 2024, was that when he was appointed by Labour? High profile clients include TikTok. So this is kind of showing you just how deep all of the rot goes, really. High profile clients include TikTok, Shell, Accenture, I'm not sure who that is. The Premier League, well, we know the Premier League's bent. JP Morgan, which is ironic considering that's who Starmer got rid of. Santander, BP, Sizewell, and Sheen. Reputational risks could occur relating to any of these clients' dealings with the UK or US government. Global Council did not declare any lobbying clients under the last quarter of the Sunak administration. Media reporting is noting the group's expansion since the election. Yeah, they are all in it together. I completely agree, Mannequin Skywalker. 20% share of the company was sold to the Messina Group in April-May of 2024, valuing the company at $30 million. Jim Messina is a former Obama aide who also advised the Remain campaign, David Cameron and Theresa May. It's like the more we see these things, the Epstein files, whether we see these files, you see all of the same names coming up, don't you? You see all of them, and you could sit here and say, well, they're not linked together, there's no proof of anything, but then every time you look at something like this, oh, look, Obama's there. Oh, look, you know what I mean? It's the same faces. Global Council is currently under investigation by the Registrar of Consultant Lobbyists for failing to disclose the Qatari Free Zones Authority as a client, so there was something hidden there. Yeah, bring forth indeed. To note, the retained role and interest in Global Council would have to cease if appointed. So this is just saying what would need to be done if he was appointed. This was obviously before. Shareholdings in technology companies, Moon Active, which is a game developer, C-True, an AI security screening technology. I'm going to write that one down. I've never heard that name. But do you know when there's an alarm bell that's just gone off in my head, because we're talking about digital ID and the government has stated how important it is to have AI and the importance of it going forward in this country. And I've got a feel, I know, it's just a hunch. You know how Starmer's going on about AI security and using it in the future with digital ID. I wonder if there's any connection to this company. True. Because if it is, that would mean that they're still employing people, that he's got links through Mandelson. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm wrong, but something just stood out to me when we read that. Anyway, Blue Voyant, which is cyber security. Let me write that down as well. Blue Voyant. Because I've got a feeling, just a feeling, cyber security. Just write that down, cyber security. Right. Let's see. Roles in financial services companies. Member of Ventura Advisory Board. Recently resigned as a non-executive in the Bank of London. A lot of fingers and a lot of pies, isn't there? to note, may have to resign financial services roles pending a conflicts of interest assessment by the FCDO under the diplomatic service regulations. Again, this is all prior to him being appointed by Keir Starmer. Chancellor of Manchester Metropolitan University, member of council management. Right, where was that of one? Right, this is the stuff. So this is the stuff that's damning that you're going to be seeing all over the news over the next 24 to 48 hours. Right, here we go. Citizenship, let's see. Secretary of State for Trade and Industry, 1998, resigned due to not declaring 373,000 loan from Geoffrey Robinson, a cabinet colleague, which was used to fund a property purchase. To note, general reputational risk around previous departures from the new Labour government, both relating to financial matters, including high-profile donors to government. So there's already a general reputational risk at this point before they've even gone past this. So even before he was appointed, before the Epstein stuff, he was labelled a risk. And that's before we got to the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. So here we go. The relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. A 2019 report commissioned by JP Morgan found that Epstein appeared to maintain a particular close relationship with Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, and Lord Peter Mandelson, a senior member of the British government. So that's the stuff that so far I believe Starmer's lied about. That part alone he's lied about, because this here was already seen by the government. This was a review before everything. So the government and Keir Starmer would have seen this, and he would have been, this is what he would have looked at. So a 2019 commission by JP Morgan found that Epstein appeared to maintain a close relationship with Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and Lord Peter Mandelson. So when he said, I didn't know, and he apologised, that's what he was talking about, right? Then it gets worse. The report cited Epstein's personal records, which showed contact beginning in 2002, which is 25 years ago, and continuing throughout the 2000s. So going way, way back. After Epstein was first convicted of procuring an underage girl in 2008, oh my God, their relationship continued across 2009 to 2011, beginning when Lord Mandelson was business minister, and continuing after the end of Labour government. Mandelson reportedly stayed in Epstein's house while he was in jail in 2009. In 2014, Mandelson also agreed to be a founding citizen of an ocean conservation group founded by Ghislaine Maxwell. So when he said that I didn't know the connection and I didn't know how deep it was, well, clearly you've read this. So he did know this, and he knew that Epstein was arrested for connections to sexual offences towards women and children, and Mandelson was staying in his apartment, or his house as it says there, while Epstein was in jail in 2009. So if our government knew this and knew that he was staying in a sex offender's house, why would he appoint him as ambassador to the UK situated in the United States? Why would he doing that knowingly? In 2014, Mandelson also agreed to be a founding citizen of an ocean conservation group founded by Ghislaine Maxwell and funded by Epstein. So that's 6 years after. Let's write that one down as well. I want to remember that name. Founding citizen of an ocean group founded by ocean conservation group founded by Ghislaine Maxwell and funded by Epstein. Right, so ocean conservation, we're going to have to look that up, because I want to know, because people are going to be reading all of these and what the news says, but I want to know what those companies are, and I want to know, where are they now? Who still works for them? Does the government fund it? Does the government have any part in this? On reporting of the JP Morgan report, Lord Mandelson's spokesman said, Lord Mandelson very much regrets ever having been introduced to Epstein. Of course he did. That's why he stayed in his house and continued doing business with him, didn't he? Lord Mandelson very much regrets having been introduced to Epstein. This connection has been a matter of public record for some time. He never had any kind of professional or business relationship with Epstein in any form. That's a lie then, because we've just read there, in 2014, he agreed to be a founding citizen of an ocean conservation group founded by Ghislaine Maxwell and funded by Epstein. So he did know, and he did do it. And again, the government knew this. And so that was after Wait a second. So that was after he was arrested and put in jail for sex offences. He then still went on to work with him, and our government knew that he was working with him. Crazy. The Telegraph reported on these links extensively in January 2024. A Labour Party spokesman has previously commented saying there are a whole range of people that Keir Starmer talks to. Obviously, he talks to people who are part of the last Labour government, including Peter Mandelson. The Cabinet Office holds official records that are likely to be released by the National Archives early next year. And bearing in mind, with all of this that they've put out, the government, they've also stated, kind of like they did with the Epstein files in America, that they're not going to be releasing everything, which is rather concerning. But I think this is damning enough. I really do. Let me read that part again. A Labour spokesperson has previously commented saying there are a whole range of people that Keir Starmer talks to. Obviously, he talks to people who were part of the last Labour government, including Peter Mandelson. The Cabinet Office holds official records that are likely to be released by the National Archives early next year, which relate to a Tony Blair meeting with Epstein that was facilitated by Mandelson. So it goes even deeper. Okay. So, again, to note, general reputational risk. So these are flipping red flags all the way through this that we're reading so far. So if that was given to the government, why would they then continue with his appointment? I think anyone with common sense, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like anything. If you're going to hire someone for any type of job, oh, by the way, this person, for example, has just come out of prison for fraud, or they've just come out of prison for murder, you'd be a bit like, oh, I don't know if I could work with him. Or, by the way, we've got this person here we're looking to hire, you know, within the government, but he's connected to sexual offences. Oh, yeah, let's hire him. Has suggested using Nigel Farage to better UK connections with the Trump administration. Mandelson quoted saying, of Farage, contrary to UKG policy, you can't ignore him. He's an elected member of parliament. He's a public figure. He's a bridgehead both to President Trump and to Elon Musk and others. National interest is served in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways. Yes, probably the same reason Starmer never pursued Jimmy Savile. Yeah, you're right there, Species. Hello, TF. How you doing? How you doing, my friend? Right, let's see this next part. Seen as an advocate for closer UK-China relations. So that's another thing to write down, because we've just, in the last couple of months, was it in January, where they announced that the Chinese embassy is going to be next to the Tower of London? So is one of the, which I think is crazy, which is going to be above the tunnels, MI5 and all of that. So China embassy, let me just write that down. Isn't it weird that the second he was... Hang on. So the second that he hired him was around 2024, late 2024. 2025, when did he go to China, Keir Starmer? Was it the beginning of it was at the end of last year. So that would have been arranged by Peter Mandelson. The whole thing stinks, because we're not an ally of China. He's hired the person who's connected to sexual predators, and that's the person that's arranged meetings with China and the government saying, buddy with China. Like, the whole thing stinks, don't it? Mandelson gave a speech at the University of Hong Kong where he claimed that the rule of law and independence of the judiciary remain intact there. Of course, he argued the Conservatives' cold shoulder to Hong Kong was wrong and there should be a thaw in relations. Well, he would say that because he was probably paid a lot of money. He has long called for a closer engagement with China and said of US-China relations in 2018, it is absurd to imagine putting a country of such weight in the naughty corner. And it also necessary to recognise Mr. Trump's behaviour for what it is. He is a bully and a... So a lot of this seems that it's influenced Starmer when you look at what's been going on, because we've got the war going on with Iran and the Labour government not supporting the United States, but more in favour of sitting back. And then we've got an embassy being made in the United Kingdom. yeah, it's got to be investigated. But it's funny because, as I say, you've got Mandelson there saying that Trump is a bully, and you've got this coming from the guy as corrupt as they are. Right, let's just move back a bit. So that's that. So that's this whole page here is going to be the part that you're going to see pretty much all over, I believe. Right, let's get to the next page. What's the? How do we get to the next page on here? Oh, is that and down? 1 second. Oh crap, that goes up a lot. 21, 22. Oh, it does. That's fine. Next one. Right. The next page, let's see. Board members, political previous roles: Secretary of State for Business, Innovation and Skills, Secretary of State and Lord President of the Council, resigned after the Passports for Cash Council scandal. So he's been involved in quite a lot of scandals. My God. Mandelson served as a non-executive director of the Russian conglomerate Sistema, which is itself the majority shareholder of RTI, a defence technology company. RTI produced radar and satellite communications for Russia land-based missile early warning system. Should you not find that a little bit weird? Hang on, do you not find that a little bit weird that he's connected to having relations with Russia? The missiles that have been found during this war with Iran, that have been given to Iran, are some Russian missiles, and then we won't get involved in helping the United States in this war with Iran. Like, the whole thing is so suspect. The whole thing is so... It stinks. Like, I don't do this kind of conspiracy theory stuff, but there's something very, 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 very off with all of this. The website of Global Council still contains his flowery account of his October 28 meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Nothing weird to see here. Yeah, it's all fine. Starmer said so. Yeah, I think I agree with you there, Species. Yeah, you're saying Labour doesn't want to go to Iran because then the people that are obviously sleeper cells in this country will rise up and kick off. And I'm quite surprised that Shabana Mahmood has come out and banned the protest that's happening this weekend, the people in support of the IRGC. I'm surprised that's being banned this weekend, but it's about bloody time. Previous ministers' interests, declarations. Yeah, there's nothing on that one. Right, let's get to the next one. Let's see what this is. We aren't getting involved in Iran, yeah, because it will prove diversity is a major weakness when it comes to society. Well, yeah, because we would have infighting in this country. You've got the British people, by majority, that would be supporting the United States, I believe, but then you've got factions in this country that are pro-Islamic regime. And it seems we've got that in the government as well. From what we're reading here, we've got that within the government as well. Not everyone is on the same page, you know? Let's see, right, what's this one? Oh, shit, sorry. Closed it by accident. Downloads, where are you? Downloads. Where did it go? Did I delete it by accident? I did. I've deleted it. And it funny. Look at that. I thought that when I read it. Look at that as the name of the file when you download it. How ironic. The Mandelson files PDF. Isn't that ironic? Right, let me just put that back in my folder so I don't lose that. Come on. Why are you not loading? Right, there you go. Right, where was we? We saw this page. I'll go forward a bit, sorry. We saw all of that. Yeah. 2A is the stuff with, I believe was... Yeah, that's the stuff there that we're seeing all over the news at the moment. Right, this is where we got up to, yeah. This will not be released in the archives until post-appointment. Prime Minister's International Commitments Policy on Foreign Visitors, 2002. Do you remember... Oh, right, subject, Jeffrey Epstein, from Peter Mandelson. Do you remember when Clinton saw TB? TB? Who's TB? Do you remember when Clinton saw TB? Tony Blair, he said he wanted to introduce his travelling friend, Jeffrey Epstein, to TB. This was frustrated, Tony Blair said at the time. In the office for reasons, he says he was unclear about, I think Tony Blair would be interested in meeting Jeffrey, who is also a friend of mine. Jesus Christ. Because Jeffrey is an active scientific catalyst entrepreneur as well as someone who has his finger on the pulse of many worldwide markets and currencies. He is young and vibrant. He is safe, whatever that means. And Clinton is now doing a lot of travelling with him. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is very damning. Ooh. I mentioned to Tony Blair that Jeffrey Epstein is in London next week and he said he would like to meet him. I've ascertained from Jeffrey that he is flexible. He could be here anytime from Tuesday onwards to fit round the diary, but would obviously need to know reasonably quickly as to reschedule accordingly. Can you let me know? Charles Anthony Linton Blair. Yeah, it's rather nuts, isn't it? The original of this email has been scanned for viruses, blah, blah, blah. It says, do you want to do... I can't really see that. I could put that into ChatGPT, but I don't know. Let me try. I'm going to see if it can read it. Let's see if it does. It might try and take the whole file. Because those, I can't really see that. I don't know if anyone could have been able to understand it. Anyway, Jonathan Powell. Do you remember when Clinton saw TB? He is safe. Yeah, this is a copy of the original. So, yeah. Again, so all of this, as I'm saying, this would have been given to our government. Trade and industry meetings and correspondence with businessmen, part 3. Jeffrey Epstein is seeing you at 5 p.m. today as a financial advisor to the super rich and a property developer. He is a friend of Bill Clinton and Peter Mandelson. Doesn't look good, does it? That alone, Jesus. The background on Epstein is that he is very rich. He has a $30 million home in New York, plus a 10,000 acre ranch in New Mexico and a villa in Palm Beach. He made his money working for billionaire Leslie Wexner. That's the guy that we saw in Congress about a week or two ago, right? Who owns, among many other things, the lingerie firm Victoria's Secret. I mean, Jesus, this is so seedy. Close to the Duke of York, he seems to have met Prince Andrew through Robert Maxwell's daughter, Ghislaine, with whom he has had an on-off relationship. He seems to have met Prince Andrew through Robert Maxwell's daughter. Robert Maxwell's the guy who topped himself or vanished or whatever you want to call it. Through Robert Maxwell's daughter, Ghislaine, with whom he had an on-off relationship. He visited Sandringham and Windsor last year. That's even more disturbing. Peter says that Epstein now travels with Clinton and Clinton wants you to meet him. He thinks you would find worthwhile a conversation with him about science and international economic and monetary trends. Prime Minister Matthew Rycroft, CC, Jonathan Powell, Jeffrey Norris. Jeffrey Epstein is seeing you at 5 p.m. today. Yeah, we've seen all of this. Very rich, blah, blah, blah. Right, so that's just a copy of it, okay? 10 Downing Street. Jesus Christ, man. Like, I'm scared I'm going to get a knock on the door. And I know this is like public stuff, but I'm just like sitting here thinking, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here reading this and I'm thinking to myself, this, you know when you kind of feel like you're looking behind the door and I feel like, am I going to get in trouble here? I know I won't, but it feels like it. Dear Philip, the Prime Minister has decided to appoint... What's RT stand for? RT Hon, the Lord Peter Mandelson, to the post of HMA Washington. You know what I mean? Do you know when we're reading? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel we're reading this together, and I know it's public, guys, but I'm still sitting here thinking, like, is there someone here watching now? Like, am I gonna get? Am I paranoid? Am I gonna get in shit for this? Please, would you take forward necessary arrangements at pace? We would like to secure agreement as soon as possible to enable a handover in advance of the US inauguration. So this is 10 down the street. Dear Philip, I'm trying to establish who this is. Are we talking? Is this wouldn't be Prince Philip because it wouldn't go to. I'd be grateful if you would inform the current incumbent that a post will be filled by a political appointment. Please do not disclose the individual at this stage until we have approval from HM the King. We will need to ensure the utmost discretion throughout this process and agree the handling in advance and around the transition. Please work with Elsa Terry to agree the next steps. That's from Ninjeri Pandit. I don't know who that is. Right Honourable. Thank you. Huh? So wait, that's from... Letter from Principal Private Secretary to the Prime Minister. But there's no date. It is 2024. So, okay, I'm a bit confused as to... Right, okay, so Sir Clive Alderton, Private Secretary to His Majesty the King, Buckingham Palace. The Prime Minister has indicated his intention to recommend during the Parliament a small number of political appointments to serve as His Majesty's ambassadors overseas. The Prime Minister now proposes such an appointment. I've discussed this with the Foreign Secretary, who would have been at the time... what's her name? 2024. Who's the lady that's there now? The Foreign Secretary. Would it have been her? 2025. No, this might have been under Conservatives then, right? Got to get my dates right. I've discussed with this the Foreign Secretary who appears to be... anyway. Political appointees are rare in the British system, but in keeping with those appointed from within the diplomatic or civil service, His Majesty's approval is required. May I request that you seek the King's approval for Lord Peter Mandelson as HM Ambassador to Washington? So this went right to the top. Lord Mandelson would succeed Dame Karen Pierce in early 2025. I enclose a curriculum for... Sinister things have kindly names, Right Honourable Sir. Even Google... H. Mutant Jew way sounds lovely, but sinister as hell. Yeah. Philip Barton. So that's who we're talking about. Philip Barton. I don't know who that is either. I should do, but I don't. Lord Mandelson is a member of the House of Lords and is this is his CV. I bet they're not going to put on here he's linked to sexual predators and deviants. So that's the email. Dear Peter, congratulations on the new role. We are all looking forward to working with you. I understand you haven't received the attachment forms yet, with Morgan mentioned to you this morning. If you could fill them in, read the guidance, that would be great. I know you are speaking to Philip shortly, but we are here to help as needed. Merry Christmas to you and yours from Elsa. That's Elsa Terry, CMG. I mean, they've got to be panicking that all of this is out. Right, guidance for UK-based and country-based staff and special advisors on the requirements for taking up paid or unpaid employment outside of the FCDO whilst still employed by the FCDO or following retirement resignation. So I believe this is what they can and can't do. Yeah, okay, so FCDO staff will normally be permitted to take up secondary employment providing it does not affect or impinge upon you or your work in the FCDO, and separately that, where appropriate, its approval reflects the requirements of the government's business appointment rules. Circumstances may be interpreted as affecting or impinging upon you or work may include require you in the view of the FCDO to work in excessive additional hours. So this is basically what you can and can't do in the role. Business appointment rules, we don't really need that because it's not really that. Get into that afterwards because that we can look into that, what was done and how it was done. 5th of July Labour took over, and where was we saying just now? 5th of July, right, 5th of July. So I'm gonna have to think about this. 5th of July. Right, let me just write 5th of July. Let me just write it down. Cheers. 5th July. 2024. Because I've got a feeling when we look into, you know, like these connections to the stuff with the security companies, See-True, Blue Velvet, the cybersecurity firm, and the China stuff, I reckon we're going to find, and the Ocean Conservation Company, which it doesn't name what it is. I reckon they'll find stuff that's going to be linked into there to other people, because what we've seen so far with the Epstein files and this, and I've not really been getting into all of this kind of stuff. Every time we've looked at something, there's always Obama, there's always Clinton's, or there's. So I want to know about them companies. Yeah, I want to know how deep that goes. You know, because it could imply more wrongdoing if you've got people connected in those companies linked to Mandelson, linked to Epstein prior to this engagement, which would prove that he might have even known earlier than this. You know what I mean? It's so corrupt, man. Yeah, it is. It's like a bloody jigsaw mannequin. This is why I don't get into this stuff, because it's just, I think it's so dangerous. Like, I know we've got to know this stuff, but Jesus, man. I declare that I party related to me have interests that either conflict with performing my FC. So this is just trying to prove, I guess, that he's declaring that he's taken the role to work for the United Kingdom as ambassador, and it's stating here not to do what he went and done, you know, with the information that was leaked or whatever else we're going to find out. It is, Zeph, it's crazy. Right, okay, guidance on completing this form can be found at the end. Please refer to the FCDO's conflicts of interest, policy. So that's what I'm saying. This is kind of like do this, don't do this. Financial interests, any shareholders or share options you have in individual companies. So declaring everything, basically. Kind of the one thing that this government and the Conservatives never do is declaring stuff. Because if you can recall when Keir Starmer was first appointed, he didn't declare something. Who else was it? Was it Angela Rayner or one of those that didn't declare? It was Starmer was Lord Ali. Lord Ali wasn't declaring clothes or all of this, which I found was all rather strange, weren't it? Have you thought about how much damage Obama done? NASA crippled. Oh, you're just being sarcastic. Right, sorry, you're being sarcastic. Yeah. Mind you, Species, you'd be a good sidekick if I ever get in trouble. No, I've never met him. I don't know what he's talking about. That's you in the video, right? No. That's not sarcasm. You don't recall that. What, declaring things? Are you joking? Yeah, Keir Starmer, when Keir Starmer first got... hello, Nick. When Keir Starmer got elected and he first went in, I believe he didn't declare gifts. It was gifts, weren't it? It was labelled as gifts, and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars or pounds from Lord Ali, and he said it was all for suits, which I find the whole thing's just bloody strange. NASA, oh, no. I don't know anything about NASA. I don't want them after me. That's what I'm talking about. Starmer getting his clothing in exchange for other things from Lord Ali. Let's just leave it at that. Right, okay, so this is more just like declaration of rules. This is his actual declaration, his stuff. Okay, well, let's have a look at this. Okay, so this is him saying basically he was director of ABC since March 2009. If ABC considered a move into UK markets that resulted in links, then I will absent myself from any discussions and would declare that I'm doing so. So in other words, he's just clarifying before he took the role, I would remove myself from those positions that I've got if it clashes with this role that we've got in the United Kingdom that he's been appointed. I do believe this was in conflict. I consider there no risk of conflict. This is for this stuff. Yeah, we don't really need that. We could come back to that at a later time. Right, so that's just a copy. Yeah. So this stuff is just a copy of a lot of the stuff that we've just seen. Right, okay, here we go. Dear Lord Mandelson, congratulations on your appointment as HMA Washington and welcome to the FCDO. Following your call with Philip, my team in the department stand ready to support you in preparations for your new role. I'm pleased to reintroduce you to the people who will support your onboarding and transition. James and his team are already in touch with British Embassy Washington. JCS will support you on the policy side from the UK. JCS will lead on your move. Rob Tinlin, Director Americas, and Harriet Matthews, DG Americas, Africa and Caribbean, stand by ready to have early calls and support as necessary. I'd also be grateful if you could return the attached conflict of interest form as soon as possible. Thank you. Please don't hesitate to be in touch if you have any questions or I can be of any further assistance. With best wishes and welcome again. Helen Twist, Private Secretary to the Permanent Order, Secretaries Sir Philip Barton and Nick Dyer. Okay, so this is when he was appointed to the position. Dear Peter, good to talk earlier today. I promised the salary and allowance figures in writing. The baseline salary is $153,000. You said that you plan to be accompanied. As such, the figures are as follows. Accompanied, COLA, 11,406 was 27. I don't know what that's for. Oh, I see. The abatement is for domestic help. Jesus Christ. So he had like a slave with him. Christ. What's happening, Rach? Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? Crazy times, crazy times. Peter, thank you for your time earlier. I thought I'd quickly follow up with a few specifics. Passport forms. Oh, the stuff that he was given. We'll bring you further in person from January the 6th onwards, which would have been last year. Yeah, that would have been last January 25th, 2025, including a... Thank you for sharing the list of proposed London-based calls you'd like to make. We'll follow up in due course. Nothing too damning, really. It's just kind of the formalities of the position. Following Karen's report of her call with Mike Waltz, and with no suggestion that Peter's nomination was an issue in the Trump PC, I will ask Clive Alderton to get the wheels in motion for Peter's audience. Shout by 10 a.m. if anyone thinks I should hold off. I suspect it will still take a little while to confirm this in the King's diary. It's interesting to see, though, behind the curtain with a lot of this stuff. Even if all of this isn't damning, I think there's enough in here that would really get me or you or anyone else in this country arrested. You know, there's enough here that would get any, you know, if you're working for a firm or any company in this country or working in a business and this stuff came out about a manager, they would be arrested for the stuff that's in this. But for some reason, you know, he's probably going to, I didn't know. I still didn't know it, even though this tells you that Keir Starmer did know all of this. Dear Lord Mandelson, please find attached your FCDO employment contract with a start date of Monday the 3rd of February 2025. Yeah, so that one up there was January 2025. Right, okay. Read your contract, front sheet and terms and conditions, sign the front sheet, blah, blah, blah. Contract of employment. Your employment with the FCD is a fixed term, meaning, so that would be fixed term it's not permanent, is it? It's kind of not contract. Is that contracted? Fixed term is kind of like a year's. Like, that's how I've always done it. When I've done fixed term work, it was always you work for a year and then we'll see how it goes. In the role of His Majesty's Ambassador at Washington at grade SCS4 and commences on the 3rd of February 2025. Yeah, and ends on 2029. So it's a fixed term contract basically, not a permanent forever. So just until Labour were. The next general election in the UK, which will be 2029. Okay. So I guess everyone really in government, no, I suppose not everyone in government. The MPs keep their roles, but a lot of the positions would be fixed term whilst they're in power, right? Without the need for notice, unless previously terminated by either party, given the other notice in accordance with paragraphs 12, 13 below. Okay, previous employment, they've got all of that detail. Probationary period. 6 months probationary period. That's what I was thinking of, fixed term. Okay, annual leave. This is just like job description stuff. This isn't anything really too damning. Yeah, what you're going to do. disclosures, which we've kind of seen before. Yeah, just to confirm, it's kind of the same as what they disclosed before when he done this to the government when applying for the position or asked to do the position. He then has to confirm it again here just to double check everything, which I can understand. Dear Lord Mandelson, I'm writing to offer you a 4-year fixed-term contract appointed for Monday the blah, blah, blah. The job is graded at this. All appointments to this or that. If you wish to accept this offer and you are willing to accept employment on this and find the attached contract. So it's good to see how this stuff does work, though. I will have a good read of this myself. Please find a letter of appointment. So it's more of a copy. Do you know what one thing that's really striking in all of this? One thing that's really striking in all of this, I was working for a trade union for 5 or 6 years, and I always felt nervous and got quite anxious in how I delivered emails in my language and how I speak. And I spoke more professionally than a lot of these emails that I'm reading here. So I was overdoing it. You know, like I'm looking at this and it seems very, very casual over something so big. The Prime Minister and Foreign Secretary have approved the recommendation for your appointment. The role is offered by the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. Many congratulations. Yeah, there's no, doesn't seem we've got like more. I thought we'd have more emails or more. What's this one? Right, okay, from Elsa Terry, it says this is sensitive. I don't know what it's going to be, but we'll have a look. PM meeting HMA Washington. Hello, Gib. How you doing? Been a while. How you doing? Your name's different. It was Dave, weren't it? It's David. I'm sure it's David. I hope you're well. Right, sorry. Hi, team. Please see a note for the files regarding the PM's meeting on HMA Washington today. Please retain this for records, but do not issue. The Prime Minister chaired a meeting to decide on next steps with regard to HMA Washington on Thursday, the 11th of September, which would have been 2025. This was attended by the DPM Foreign Secretary, FCDO PUS. What is that? I'm sorry, I've got to look that up because I keep reading it and I don't know what it means. What does FCDO stand for? Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. Jesus, they like a big name, don't they? The Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. So that would, I see the Foreign Secretary and the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, meaning the person. Yeah, that's the office that would have arranged for Mandelson to be hired in the first place. Right, got ya. Chief Whip and number 10 staff. The Prime Minister opened the meeting by outlining the situation as he saw it regarding the further reports about Lord Mandelson's links with Epstein. Whoa, this could be damning indeed. Right, okay. Let's take this in properly. 1 second. Where did you all go? I've lost you all. Ah, there you are. Right, okay. Right. Let me start this again. So this is an official sensitive letter from the Mandelson files that came out today. It says, hi team, please see a note for the files regarding the PM's meeting on HMA Washington today. Please retain this for the records, but do not issue this. The Prime Minister chaired a meeting to decide on next steps with regard to HMA Washington on Thursday, the 11th of September, 2025. This was attended by the DPM, Foreign Secretary, FCDO, Chief Whip, and number 10 staff. The Prime Minister opened the meeting, Keir Starmer, by outlining the situation as he saw it regarding the further reports about Lord Mandelson's links with Epstein. So when was it made public here? It wasn't then. I don't think, was it? He referenced his concern at the judgments and the views expressed in the cache of emails released by Bloomberg. So, it was. So, right, okay. It was made public around that time. Sorry, it just seemed a little bit... I thought it was more earlier this year, but okay, it was before that. So he expressed a concern, obviously, in the cache of emails released by Bloomberg, that the answers Mandelson provided to the FCDO PUS Ollie Robbins regarding the emails did not give him confidence. So that's the Foreign Office, like the Foreign Office UK, who hired him in the first place. His statements didn't give him a lot of confidence, which, if you read everything above that, they was already warned. The government was already warned this would be a risk to hire this person, and they done it anyway. The emails revealed a depth and extent of a relationship with Epstein which he had not been aware of previously when he made the decision to appoint Mandelson. Well, that there is a lie, because we've seen that earlier on in the information at the very beginning that stated that he was warned that this was a risk. On this basis, he proposed to ask Mandelson to resign from his post as HMA Washington. So this, to me, is where the cover-up began, right here on the 25th of September 2025, because he was aware of this in 2024, because we've just looked at it. So why is he making out that he didn't know? The Foreign Secretary underlined the importance of clarity and transparency when answering the urgent question tabled this morning. The Deputy Prime Minister underlined the need to engage the US system to ensure they understood the context. The Prime Minister strongly agreed with these both points. The Chief Whip emphasised the serious discomfort amongst the PLP. The Prime Minister was clear about his strong concern for Epstein's victims and the importance of the work of the government to tackle violence against women and girls. See, again, that whole... Oh, you're in Japan. Hi. That whole thing screams lies and bullshit, because the Prime Minister was clear about his strong concern for Epstein's victims and the importance of the work of the government to tackle violence against women and girls. Well, if that is the case, then why are you doing the grooming gang scandal investigations a year late? And why did you say in Parliament that you're not going to include those of the Pakistani Muslim community and their faith within the investigations? If you cared about tackling violence against women and girls, you would deliver and protect women in this country. It is David Crosby. I thought, yeah. No. I've been here, mate. I've just had a bit of a break from the streaming just because I've been doing the videos and they've been going well. So I've just been a bit focused on that. But welcome back. Great to see you, bud. It was agreed that James Roscoe, the Deputy Ambassador to Washington, would take over as charge of the affairs ad interim with immediate effect until the next HMA Washington was appointed, and would support the United States state visit in the usual way. The Foreign Office spoke by telephone to Mandelson towards the end of the meeting to inform him of the Prime Minister's decision and of the next steps. It was noted that the palace had been informed of the decision during the meeting. So this is when they were kind of supposedly concerned and talking about him resigning. But as I say, we've already seen earlier on, and by now everyone who's watching this would have seen all of the stuff in the media, that he did in fact know prior to this. And this is kind of where we picked up in the country with it being in the media. Konnichiwa, back at you, man. Please could you issue this message on behalf of Lord Mandelson, copying his email to all staff. Dear all, as you will have seen, my position as Ambassador to the United States has come to an end. Being Ambassador here has been a privilege of my life. I could not have wished for a better welcome by you all, a better introduction to the job, or better support while here. Your professionalism has been superb, more so than I've experienced in any public role. I mean, this guy's what a slime ball. For this, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Of course you do, Predator. The circumstances surrounding the announcement today are ones I deeply regret. You deeply regret being linked to Jeffrey Epstein and being a criminal. I continue to feel utterly awful about my association with Epstein 20 years ago. But that's a lie, because it wasn't 20 years ago, because that would have made it 2004. And we already confirmed earlier on that he got involved in a conservation business with Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein in 2014. That's 10 years ago. That's not 20 years ago. So even that is a lie. Come on, son. Jesus, I'm reading your emails and I'm picking this up. Not very good at this, are you? The circumstances surrounding the announcement today are ones which I deeply regret. I continue to feel awful about my association with Epstein 20 years ago and the plight of his victims. So they don't even get their dates right. It's very sloppy. I have no alternative to accepting the Prime Minister's decision and will leave a position in which I've been so incredibly honoured to serve. The relationship between Britain and the United States of America is a unique one. I know that you will continue to serve and deepen that relationship with DC right across our brilliant network. So this was September the 11th, 2025. Let me just write that down. Left September 2025. Mandel. Do you know what I'm looking at? I'm like what do you call it? Mulder and Scully, you know what I'm saying, don't you? Mulder and Scully in what's it called? I'm doing one of them. Like, it's going to be all over my room by the end of the night. Right, okay. So again, we've established already that Starmer knew that he was connected to Epstein a lot more than he led on. So when he apologised and said, I didn't know the amount of connection between Mandelson and Epstein, it was a lie because we've shown it. And then secondly, Mandelson here says, I continue to feel awful about my association with Epstein 20 years ago. What page is this? Page 99. Right, I've got to find that because that's important. There you go. So page 21. Right, I'll remember that. Page 21, guys, is the important. If you look at this yourselves, page 21 is the main crux of what you need to know. Everything is on page 21. So he claims that it was 20 years ago. Well, look at this. It says it here. In 2014, Mandelson also agreed to be a founding citizen of an ocean conservation group founded by Ghislaine Maxwell and funded by Epstein. So this was after Epstein had been arrested for sexual offences and put in jail. He'd stayed in his apartment and stayed in his place while Jeffrey Epstein was linked to sexual offences. The government. So you've got to bear in mind, the UK government knew this as this was happening. So 2009, he's arrested. Just after that, he stays in his apartment. 2014, he goes into business with Jeffrey Epstein. So that's 6 years after he's been arrested and jailed for the convictions of the sexual offences. Then 10 years later, the UK government hire him. And then on page 98, was it 97, 98? Page 97, he says, where are you, my little buttercup? Where are you, my little buttercup? You're at the top, weren't you? It was here somewhere, wasn't it? He was basically, yeah, that thing that he said, I'm sad about my connections to him 20 years ago. Well, it wasn't 20 years ago. It was 10 years ago from when this was written. So there's a decade difference in that alone. There you go, that one. I continue to feel utterly awful about my association with Epstein 20 years ago. But it wasn't 20 years ago. It was 10 years ago. And there was links to him in 2019. So even that was a lie. Christ, this is crazy. And the thing is, when you just look and you just read this stuff, you can just see it for yourselves. I'm not bright at all. I've got no intelligence, mate. I'm just an ordinary bloke. But I can read this myself and go, that date, that date, that date, and that date. I should be grateful if you could arrange for this email to be printed, sealed in an envelope and passed to Lord Mandelson. Please could you ensure it is not seen by other staff in order to respect Peter's privacy? Yeah, kind of like he did with all the stuff that he leaked. Madness, isn't it? Hello, Mark. How you doing? Right. Should Peter wish, I'd be happy to continue further correspondence by email to a personal account. Thank you. Right, next. Let's carry on. Matthew Doyle. We heard that name the other day. We heard this name the other day, Matthew Doyle. Lord Mandelson is a personal friend of Matthew Doyle. Right, okay. Right, okay. Let me write that down. Matthew Doyle, because I'm sure these are all going to come up again. Matthew Doyle. Right, okay. I bet I'll remember that. Mike Ostheim, I'll just remember that as Oppenheimer, because you'll see that and go, oh, Oppenheimer. You're not going to forget that. Okay, Lord Mandelson is a personal friend of Matthew Doyle. So while he doesn't recall specific instances, he certainly would have seen him at social events around December 2024. And he was hired. Yeah, so he was hired just around that time then. Right. Matthew Doyle said he would have not had a unilateral meeting with LM to discuss the appointment. Doyle said he did, however, have a number of conversations with Morgan McSweeney that were one-to-one. Recalls a number of wider political meetings around the time, some more formal than others. Doyle recalls some back and forth with MM, which resulted in 3 specific questions for LM to answer in respect of Jeffrey Epstein. Possibly some discussion for Global Council as well. So that's 2024. Whoa. Who's MM? What am I missing here? Who's MM? Lord Mandelson. Doyle recalls some back and forth with MM, which resulted in 3 specific questions to Lord Mandelson to answer in respect of Jeffrey Epstein, possibly some discussion of Global Council as well. So why were they talking about him in 2024, 2025? Doyle recalls there were interactions with Elsa Terry and Jonathan Powell on the matter, though not details. Doyle believes Powell was particularly cautious about the appointment. Right, okay. So it's not. I was reading this as to think there was still a connection to them and everything else, okay. So people were cautious of this, right? MD does not recall any unique correspondence or a specific letter with Lord Mandelson to the PM about the appointment, right? Jonathan Powell found the appointment process unusual with Lord Mandelson, weirdly rushed. Noted Nin Pandit, that was the girl at the beginning. Yeah, so that was the original. That's the original stuff that, as I say, that you've already seen in the news. The handling of that and how it was done and rushed through, which is very, very peculiar. And I might add, do you not find it a little bit strange that Mandelson has a large connection in China? He's the one who, as I say, was appointed by Keir Starmer. And even though he's been removed, the relationship between Keir Starmer and the British government and China has since developed. So that's happened because of Lord Mandelson. So we're in bed with China because of that. Like, the whole thing is just so bizarre. The whole thing is so bizarre. Oh, yeah. He should have been straight away, Curtis. He should never have been hired in the first place. Mandelson is what I said. Hello, Tony. How you doing? Right, okay. Powell doesn't recall any specific meetings on this that he was involved in, though there were a few conversations. So he's saying that he wasn't taking part in the hiring of Mandelson. Powell raised concerns about the individual and reputation to Morgan McSweeney. And Morgan McSweeney said the issues had... There you go, see? So this is why Morgan McSweeney took the fall, because when the statement came out from Keir Starmer, he said, oh, we're sorry about this appointment, blah, 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 and he needed a fall guy. That was Morgan McSweeney. It's on you. It weren't on me, but we can see now that you knew about all of this. It wasn't... You all knew about it. You lied. In terms of PM engagement, Powell believes that the PM may have had a couple of political conversations around this, but Powell was not party. So that's a good thing. At least that's... I mean, I don't know who this Powell is, but still. In respect of correspondence from Lord Mandelson to the Prime Minister, and Powell didn't see anything himself. Powell had a vague feeling there was some incoming communication from Lord Mandelson to someone, but has low confidence in what it was. So it's a bit of unsure and low-level confidence before he was even appointed, it seems. So why was the government so, and in particular Keir Starmer, why was he so insistent on appointing Mandelson if those around him had warned him that he was a risk, and this person, Powell, had also made them aware that it was a risk, and he was uncomfortable with it, and something felt off, and the appointment was rushed through to get him in there in the first place. The whole thing, doesn't line up, does it? Doesn't set up remind you of the move The Gentleman? They grew crop to stay afloat. Mandelson is a lord. Lots of them have titles, yeah. Just different. Yeah, you're probably right. There's a lot of that going on. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, yeah. Mandelson was the fairy in Ode to a Midsummer Night's Dream by Mandelson. That's like telling Jimmy Savile to fire the T-boy because he is a... Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's get to the next one. Thank you for your letter. These dates are right given the delay in obtaining JOC's the veterinary certification. My chief concern is leaving the US and arriving in the UK with maximum dignity and minimum media intrusion. Are you joking, mate? You're corrupt. What are you talking? Oh, poor you. Like, what? He's got some bloody front, and he. Thank you for your letter. These dates are right to give the delay in obtaining the JOC's certification. My chief concern is leaving the United States and arriving in the UK with maximum dignity. Dignity? You're a traitor. And minimum media intrusion, which I think is to the advantage of all concerned. So that's kind of a threat, but an indirect threat. Do you see that? My chief concern is leaving the US and arriving with dignity, minimum media intrusion, which I think is the best advantage to all concerned. You don't want me to leak anything or say anything out of pocket, do you? You know what I mean? Not least because I remain a crown civil servant. So that there is a dig towards a crown civil servant I know about Andrew, and expect to be treated as such. In other words, you look out for me, or I go down, you go down. But in saying that, Starmer's always going down. Can you make these available on the Discord channel, please, Gav? Yeah, no worries. It's 100 and... I'll tell you what. I don't think I can upload... At the end of this, just remind me and I'll send you the thing to it. Right, okay. That's quite a damning thing. Page 108. That's an important page. Page 108. That's an important page because that's kind of a demand. And I wouldn't say it's a threat, but I'd say that's a bit of a... it is, isn't it? It's kind of a looking over the table and saying, look, you better look out for me because you don't want me to slip up, do you? It says, I'm not sure what you mean by paragraphs 12 and 13. My understanding is I have common law employment rights, but this will be better understood by lawyers than me. What was paragraph 12 and 13? Paragraphs 12 and 13. Right, we're going to have to look into that. Wait a minute. Thank you for your letter. Who's the letter to? To Mark Power. So we've got to find the one from Mark Power to Peter Mandelson. And what did I say that was? Page 108. Mark Power to Peter Mandelson. Mark Power to... Is this the one? To Alice... Letter to Lord Mandelson. Paragraph 11. Arrange for this email to be printed, sealed in the envelope, passed to Lord Mandelson. Is it the letter before? 1213 one. This can't be this. No, from Peter Mandelson. Maybe we've not got to it yet. Maybe this is it. Did you say 1213? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not on there then. No, not that one. $12.13. It's this. It's got to be. Right. Well, it's something. It's something to do with the job title. Then 108. Let me just write that down. Wait, 108. Right. Page 108. Wait, links to job title. I'll tell you what I'm like flipping. What's that fella's name? What's that geezer's name? That detective man. That last part about Mandelson knowing is funny because on TV in 2015, Trump said to ask Andrew about the degeneracy on Epstein's island because he knows all about it. You know. Right, where are we? Thank you for the letter. The dates of the delay in obtaining the documents. Right, so that was that part. And I'm not sure what you mean by paragraphs 12 and 13, so I'll have to read into that after. Right. Official. Peter, attach a further, I am afraid necessarily, formal HR letter relating to arrangements for your return. Oh, please let me know if we can do anything further to assist or support you in any other way. I'm of course available to discuss any of the contents. I'm currently in Israel for the time zone purposes in case you do. So that's from, Mark Power. That's that same fella, right? I've got to write that name down because that name's coming up a lot as well, isn't it? Right. Mark Power. Okay. What else have we got? Honorary Lord Pete Mandelson. Right. 17th of September 2025. Dear Peter, I'm writing the following. My letter of 11th of September 2025 and subsequent exchanges with myself and the President of the United States. I wanted to follow up on some further steps with respect to your departure from Washington. We have now agreed that you will remain in the United States until the 24th of September 2025, but will be departing the residence on the 18th of September and making personal arrangements until you depart for the UK. Colleagues are supporting you on your return to the United Kingdom. So I guess that would have been security or something along those lines. The above means that from the 18th of September, you will be considered as being on end of tour leave. In other words, leaving your position to go back to the United Kingdom. We understand. Cool. In line with HR policy, allowances attached to overseas roles must cease at the point of departure from the official residence. What they're basically trying to do is make sure that once he's off their hands, it's not their problem. So they're clearing that in legal format, in the form of a letter. I must therefore inform you the entitlement to the overseas allowance, which is the component of your pay that is labelled as DSCA and COLA, will no longer be paid. This will be reflected in your September payslip. I think that must have been going back to what we said on the page 108, which says when he says, I don't understand paragraph 12 and 13. Paragraph 12 and 13 would be the DSCA and the COLA, which would have been about the job title and the description of his job title. So what they're just saying, that's what they're confirming. They're saying, so when you leave, you won't be paid anything else. You're basically terminated of your employment, basically. This will reflect in your September payslip. I understand that before you leave the residence, you have made arrangements to hand over your diplomatic ID card. You should exit the USA on your diplomatic passport as usual, but this will need to be returned for cancellation once you are back in the UK. As I outlined in my previous letter to the Foreign Office, preference remains to reach an agreement with you without relying on clauses 12 and 13. So preference remains to reach an agreement with you without relying on clauses 12 and 13, which was in your contract of employment. So that's, again, to do with money, I believe. I'm aware that ongoing uncertainty is stressful for you. Why are they playing up to that? And therefore suggest we take steps to agree this as soon as possible. Given you are now returning to the UK not returning to the UK until the 24th of September, unless you would prefer to correspond on the matter, I propose we hold a virtual meeting on the 23rd of September. You are welcome to be accompanied to this meeting by a colleague or trade union representative. Please can you confirm your preference for correspondence or a meeting by Friday the 19th of September? So they were doing this to basically cover themselves as well. Yeah, I think so as well, TF. I think all of this is being done, and this is something I would urge all of you. One thing I learned when I was working in a trade union, I was there, as I say, 5-7 years. Whatever all of you do for a living, anytime there's any sort of discussion of anything importance and relevance within your work, whether you flip burgers in McDonald's or whether you work in a high-profile banking job, whatever you do, always get something in writing. If someone says, oh, you can have this day off to go on holiday, can you email me that? if someone has a discussion with you in the hallway, oh, I've got this thing for you, I'm going to do this for you, email that person, get it in writing. You won't believe the amount of times that people had been made promises, wage rises, fired from their jobs, and they've told me everything, and I go, right, where is it? Did you get it in writing? No, I had an argument with the person. Well, that's no good. Yes, get it inked. Yeah, and it sounds silly, but honestly, you won't believe how something this proves it. This I'm just saying, guys, this kind of thing proves it. You've got it there in black and white. And it doesn't matter what it is. Every little thing, they're not your friends. Your work colleagues and your boss are not your friends. I'm just saying it bluntly, because how many times have you seen people come up to retirement, get their pension, and they're just gone? See you later. They don't care about you, these companies. And I know I'm going off subject, but I just think it's one little tiny piece of advice I could actually give someone. Please find attached a note of a call I held with Peter Mandelson this afternoon regarding his employment contract. He sought advice during the conversation. Yeah, this is from Mark Power, so this is a person that had contacted him. He sought advice during the conversation. He intimated this had been from senior counsel specialising in employment law. His argument heavily focuses on the reasonableness of the PM's decision. So he wasn't happy about being removed, even though we know that he was corrupt. There is some carefully placed language around the public implications, of not reaching a settlement. What did I tell you? And the nature of an employment tribunal case. I've discussed this with the President of the United States. So that part there, his argument heavily focuses on the reasonableness of the PM's decision. That was the whole part of when I come back to the United Kingdom, it would be in everyone's best interests. In other words, if the media isn't there, do you not think you don't want me to slip up? That's what that is. That's what that language is, because it says there is some carefully placed language around the public implications of not reaching a settlement. So that's basically what that's saying. Always cover your ass. There is always someone who is out to get you. Yeah, exactly. I can't believe I remember this stuff. My brain's still got it. My brain still works, and I haven't done it since bloody Christ almighty, 15 years. I haven't done this stuff in 15 years, but my brain automatically, it clicks like that was that. It. There is a potential that absent of a positive indication, it goes public on some of his claims. So there is some urgency. That's what I'm trying to say. I was bloody right. And I've figured out that this is what people do in their language. And I learned that because it's the same, that same delivery that he gave was a threat, but not directly. Most people would read that and go, oh, it's nothing. It's just words. He's not really saying anything. But I read between the lines. It's the same with, like I said, with jobs, booking your holidays, anything. Read between the lines. Get it in bloody black and white. Because you never know. And don't be afraid to ask in your work. Don't be afraid to say, can I have this, please? Or can I have that, please? Please see attached the letter from Ollie Robbins to the Chief Secretary. I haven't put protective markings on the email, so this could be processed by private offices. But I would be grateful if all copy addresses could treat the contents sensitively. Serena Stone. Right, it's time for me to grab a Dr. Pepper. Give me a second. It's time for a bit of a Dr. Pepper. Let me put some more vape juice in. I'm enjoying this, I'll be honest with you. I've obviously stayed away from legal stuff for years because it's what drove me to my mental health and depression. But I'll be honest with you, I've quite enjoyed this. Even though it's not a good subject, it's obviously not a happy subject. Where's my vape juice, man? Vape juice. If you was vape juice, where would you be? I'm in it. Hello. Oh, there you are. Sorry, I'm talking to the carpet. Sorry. Right, we'll carry on. I'll grab a Coke from the fridge. That's what I'm saying. This is what's great about doing this full time, is that I get to talk to you guys, chill with you guys. There's no need for me to rush. We can get through things, and it goes wherever it goes. I love doing this, like this YouTube thing. I love it, man. No, it's not. I've got it. It's just great. But yeah, the reason, as I say, I stay away from this stuff too in depth because my brain now, that's why I was writing it down. That's the problem with me mentally, because now, look, that's not normal, is it? I've written all of this stuff down and I'm going, right, that's going to link to the thing in China. That's going to link to the conservation thing. Who's going to be part of the conservation thing? Who's going to be part of that cybersecurity thing that you mentioned? Who's going to be part of the AI security firm, See True? Like, none of these journalists are going to look at that stuff. Yeah, Justin, very good, mate. Very, very good. I hope you're well, mate. Right, okay, let's continue on. James Murray, MP. I'm thinking of Carl Murray, the guy that was speaking yesterday. Ignore that. Right, here we go. I am. No, but that's why it's dangerous, because with my brain having bloody bipolar 2, my, like, obsession is I won't sleep tonight. Do you understand? That's why I didn't want to touch this. I won't fucking sleep tonight. Like, I'll do this with you lot now, and I'll be sitting there at 4 a.m. obsessing over that. My brain will be going, cybersecurity firm, security, this name was part of that, so this part, and I won't be able to sleep. That's why I kind of stay away from it. Right, I attached the business case for a special severance payment to Lord Mandelson following his withdrawal as HMA Washington last month. What was it? The thingy office? Yeah, it is. My brain doesn't switch off. The Foreign Office wishes to pay £40,000 in lieu of 3 months notice plus a termination payment of £34,000, which comes to 75 grand, is within our delegated authority. The case will attract public interest, so I'd be grateful for your approval. So this is the severance payment. But I believe he got a lot more than that. Yeah, see, around 100 grand. And there's talk of him getting around 500 grand. So where did that come from? The proposed severance payment will be subject... No, but what I mean is, because I've got that, bipedal disorder, yeah, but because I've got that, no, what it'll be is I'll obsess over it for about 3 or 4 days, and I won't sleep for 3 or 4 days because I have to know, and I have to get it right. And then I crash and burn, and that's why I have my up and downs when I do my streams. So last year there were 57 payments in the £50 to £100 grand band, and that's what I'm saying. It came roughly to 570,000. That's what they're saying, nearly £600,000. And again, the government knew this. Given that Lord Mandelson remains employed by the department on full pay, but is not redeployable, I'd be grateful for your urgent consideration of this business case. So they just wanted him gone. They just wanted him out of the way. Just have a disco biscuit. Yeah, they wanted him gone because they didn't want the hassle, basically. It's at this point. Get rid of him. Should have spoken to the Clintons. They're good at that. Yeah, severance pay. Yeah, we don't really need to know this stuff. This is just kind of their rules. This is what we do in terms of severance pay for someone who's leaving, an employee. Right. Hi, Serena. Thanks for sending this across. CST is happy to agree the recommendation of the 75,000 severance payment on the terms proposed. Okay. Please see attached the letter from Ollie Robbins to the Chief Secretary. I haven't put protective markings on the email, so this can be processed by private offices. Wait a minute. No, that's not right. That's not right. That's covering it up. That's covering up the payment. No, that can't be right. Hang on, let me read that again. Hi, Serena. Thank you for sending this across. CST is happy to agree the recommendation for the 75,000 severance payment on the terms proposed as update yesterday. See the attached. Approval is on the condition that the terms of agreement exclude any non-disclosure requirement or other prohibition related to publishing details of the claim, or other prohibition related to publishing details of the claim. He is keen to ensure agreement is implemented as soon as possible to minimise additional costs. Yeah, so grateful that you can work on this. Please, can you confirm when the agreement would be finalised? Right, am I missing something? Because that does sound to me like... That does sound to me like they're making the payments, but it's not going to be on the books. Please see attached the letter from Ollie Robbins. That's that thing we looked at. To the Chief Secretary. I haven't put protective markings on the email, so this can be processed by private offices. But I would be grateful if all copy addresses could treat the contents sensitively. Many thanks. That to me sounds kind of like... That sounds to me kind of like they're saying, yeah, it's going to be £75,000 plus any additional whatever they've decided between them, but it's not going to be... That won't be publicly listed. In other words, no one's going to know about that. Wink, 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 wink. That should keep you quiet. Don't leak anything that you know. I might be reading that wrong. That's just allegedly and all of that. I haven't insinuated it, but that's how that reads to me. Because legally, there's no reason for you to do that. And to not put protective markings on the email tells me that something is wrong, because you have to do that. Because it's evidence. It's here. We done it. We done everything right. This wasn't supposed to come out. You know what I mean? Okay, I understand that Mark Power informed you that I would be picking up the settlement arrangements for Peter Mandelson while he's out of the office. Please see the attached draft settlement agreement for your client's consideration, which has been agreed in principle by the relevant ministers. This reflects agreement to pay the settlement of $75,000 within 7 days of the agreed termination date, which would have been the 18th of September, as discussed. I believe it is in both parties' interest to conclude this as quickly as possible and have therefore proposed a termination date of the 16th of October, so a month later, which would enable payment to be made no later than the 17th of October. So why has that changed? Which would... Who's this from? Alice McCullough. So this must be a... Right, third party. So this must be someone his side, I'm assuming. A lawyer or someone. Right, okay. So I understand that Mark Power informed you that I'd be picking up the settlement arrangements for Peter Mandelson. Yeah. So this is the lawyer. This is the person his side didn't. Right, okay. Please see attached the draft settlement agreement for your client's consideration, which has been agreed in principle by the relevant ministers. This reflects agreement to pay the settlement of $75,000 within 7 days of the agreed termination date, as discussed. I believe it is in both parties' interest to conclude this as quickly as possible and have therefore proposed a termination date of the 16th of October 2025, which would enable payment to be made no later than the 17th of October 2025. Please let me know if this would cause any difficulties. So what was he doing for that month? Not that that's important, but it seems rather strange considering the United States removed him from the position there on the 18th of September, it said. But he was still employed, technically, by the UK until then. Got attacked by zombies. Yeah, you have to have all of that stuff in there. Smittles, you have to treat yourself. Yeah, you can treat me, Nicky. Mine was like 15 years ago. Dropped mine just before driving home. What was that? You farted? 15 years ago. It's the last time you dropped your guts. Jesus. Okay, I'd be grateful if you could relay this to your client and complete the missing information highlighted in yellow in the settlement agreement. Please let me know if a discussion on any of this would be helpful. HR Directorate. So this is from them to him. Right, okay. Oh, so this is them back to him, right. Yes, I think they've already seen in the context of the letter and it's been approved by the ministers. If there's any pushback, it might be worth mentioning that he opened negotiations asking to pay out his contract over $500,000. What the fuck? Mark did very well to get this settlement down this low with minimal fuss. Oh my God. So he's paid over 500,000 and they're congratulating him for getting it that low. That's absurd. Okay. Hi, Helena. Just in case this comes up in your meeting with Spads tomorrow, I wanted to give you the latest on Lord Mandelson. They've agreed the settlement of 75, payment in lieu of the notice of 40, which, comes to the 75, right, okay. We expect this to be signed tomorrow. All being well, we'll move to instruct the payroll to process the payment immediately on receiving the signed agreement. Mark, let's pick up when we can next steps in terms of handling. Please. The settlement agreement, that was from them to him. Different claim, potential claims, statutory deductions mean national insurance, payment of termination date. Kind of very boring stuff here. If I say, if any term in this agreement shall be held to be illegal, invalid, or unforeseeable in whole or in part under an act of any law, such part shall that. No, that doesn't matter now. Right, that's they just signed and agreed it. Right. Thank you. I'll definitely use it today and agree we should let him know. It would also be great if there was being a welfare check and to do one each day if that's okay for a while. A welfare check, so they're concerned that he might top himself. What? You don't say that unless there's a concern of that. You don't say that. I think we will definitely use it today, and I agree we should let him know. It would also be great to know that there's been a welfare check. You don't do that. And we're not talking about welfare as in money. We're talking about welfare as in health. That's it. Well, so what we've got then, or what I've gathered from it, that you're probably going to get from a lot of people, because it's pretty much what it is. Page 8. What page was it? Page 20. No, page 21, wasn't it? So the main pages you need, if you wanted to read this and download it, is page 20 and 21. Yeah, this is the basically advice to the Prime Minister, official sensitive. So let's quickly go over things. So he was warned prior to being appointed of the risks. The government knew about these risks and they ignored them prior to hiring him. At the end of the role, the fixed term role, Mandelson indirectly gave a little bit of a threat. Allegedly gave a little bit of a threat, in my own words, in saying it would be best for all parties if the media wasn't involved, and for me to return to the UK and keep my dignity, meaning nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you wouldn't want me to speak, which was confirmed when they said in the language that was used. There was some of the language that was used. Also, that Peter Mandelson, it is Peter Mandelson, isn't it? My brain goes a bit overloaded. Peter Mandelson also said that in 2025, he regrets working with Epstein or knowing him 20 years ago, which would have been 2004, where he met him around the early 2000s, but he was still conducting business with him in 2014, which is here. After he'd stayed in his apartment in 2009, 2011, when he'd already been put in jail for sexual offences, Mandelson was still talking to him. So when he says that whole 20 years ago, that would have been before this. So did he say that he didn't have any connection to him here? Well, it says otherwise right here, because the dates don't add up. And as I say, 2014, they agreed to be he agreed to be a founding citizen, so donated to an ocean conservation group founded by Ghislaine Maxwell and funded by Epstein. So after he was convicted of sexual offences and trafficking and all of that stuff, he went on into business with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and this information was given to Keir Starmer prior. So he knew, when he says when he made his apology, Keir Starmer, he made the statement, sorry, we did not know to the extent of their relationship. That was a lie, because it's there in black and white here that he knew this information prior to appointing him as an ambassador in the United States. So after he was jailed for sex offences, 6 years later, Mandelson went into business with him, and the government knew that. So they knew that he went into business with a sexual deviant, predator, whatever you want to call him, and the government thought, let's let him work in the English government. He then went over and had a good relationship with Ping in China, and we have a bad relationship with China because they're not an ally to the United Kingdom. Because of that, our relationship and bond with China, or being in bed with China, has grown. Mandelson was removed in 2025, and after that, let's have a look at the date. What date did Starmer go to China? This is fucking crazy, dude. This is so crazy. So Keir Starmer fired Mandelson, I believe, in December of 2024. And a month later, while the bond was still there, he went straight to China. Because didn't you find it really fucking odd that out of nowhere, oh, I'm going to China and we're gonna get a relationship with China, and then all of a sudden, by the way, we're gonna have an embassy in London next to the Tower of London. None of this adds up. So Peter Mandelson was removed from office October the 21st, but he actually was gone by the December. A month later, Starmer goes over to China while that relationship and bond between Mandelson, China and the UK was still there. Quickly agrees something, because it happened overnight, didn't it? He went there and all of a sudden, Starmer's on TV everywhere. Oh, I'm in China and everyone's fucking great. By the way, we're going to have an embassy in the middle of London. Like the whole thing stinks, bro. So there's that and that. Then you've got the ties, as I say, to the conservation thing. And then we've got to look at the cybersecurity firm, Blue Vet. What was it? Blue something. I did write that down, didn't I? Lord Manson regrets for Epstein. Where did I see that? I didn't write it down. Wait a minute. Mandelson quote, blah, 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 national interest. University. Where did I see that? The AI security thing and the... Oh, yeah, it was up here, wasn't it? Right. I'm going to have to remember. I'm going to have to look at all of these and how they're all linked, because that's all of... I'm telling you now. I'm telling you. There's something in that. I'm not wrong. I know I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. There's some these ones here. There is something there in this. to be like fucking red flags. That all of the others are not something that he's directly like public speaking and writing and hired for someone like Greenbrook or Santander, Rocos Capital Management, the Macro Investment Conference, Barclays, Citigroup. All of those are big giant enterprises. Someone like him being involved with them doesn't directly insinuate that the banking sectors are guilty of something. We all know banks are dodgy anyway, but just because he's linked with a bank doesn't directly say that they're all part of this. It just doesn't. There could be people there that are involved, but it doesn't insinuate that there's always someone at the top. It could be, it couldn't be, but when it's got something like shareholdings in technology companies, which is basically saying involvement in my opinion, AI security screening and cyber security is control and data and information, that's fucking concerning. That's different, you know. That's him having his fingers personally having his fingers in the pie to help with whatever he wanted to be doing. So those are the ones I'm going to be looking at. Very interesting though. Right, let's see what you lot are all saying. Sorry, I'll get a bit carried away, and it's... Yeah. You loved What Nights? My mind was more in the ethereal things. I might be a weirdo. What are you lot talking about? Bunch of bankers, the lot of them. Yeah, they are. I agree. These so-called people are poison. Look at you. We're here talking about the corruption of the world, and you're here talking about fucking shoes and bloody haircuts. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Can you make these... Yeah. Well done, TF. No worries. All right, just bear with me a sec, man. Why did you move? Right, let's... So did you like my weird way of doing things? This is why I didn't do the Epstein files, because... hello, Ben. Yeah, this is why I didn't do the Epstein files, because this is 145 pages, and I've only been on there for an hour and a half. If we were doing this with the Epstein files, I would have had a mental breakdown. I would have had a mental breakdown, because this whole room would have just been notes everywhere, because I'd have to know, and I can't be doing that to myself. No, I'm good, man. Are you right, Simon? I'm good, mate. I'm good. Labour have cut Labour's funding by 40% due to the bin men strikes. Let me just see how big that file is. I might be able to send that whole thing on there. 1 minute. Oh, I might be able to send the thing on there. 1 minute. Right, one momento. There we go. Let's go to general. Please work. No, the file's too big. Shitbag. I'll get you the link to it. Right, UK. There we go. I'll put it in general chat. There you go. Yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed covering that, but as I say, the reason I don't get too involved in that, because it gets quite consuming for my brain, and I'll get a bit obsessed with it. I'm glad you're back, Ben. I missed you. You were not wrong, Gav, but take a chill and don't burn out. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. But that was good stuff. Good stuff. Be interesting to see what... let's have a look, shall we? Let's see what's been the latest, is if there's been any more reports or anything else that's come out about this, because that was just my take on it and what I could find and what I see, but there may be others that have seen things I've not. They're going off they went off in the House of Commons earlier about it then. I didn't see that because we were probably filming at the time. Let's see. Starmer prepares police for the weekend over the IRGC in the UK because of this protest that was happening. This protest that was happening in the UK for the IRGC and the Supreme Leader of Iran was happening this Saturday, and Shabana Mahmood actually done something good for once and came out and she's banned the march. You've obviously got all the jihadist fucking supporters saying you can't be doing that, it's racist, it's, you know, pro-Israel and all that. Well, hang on a minute. You know, the UK spent 53 million on police and closing of the roads and everything for the Palestine protests over the last 2 years. So just because you're a Muslim and just because you're pro-Iran regime does not mean the British taxpayer has to pay for everything that you want to do, especially when it's a terrorist organisation and you're supporting one of the most evil people to walk the planet in its existence, really, in Ayatollah Khomeini, who is no longer with us. I'm not going to celebrate his death because I still, even with all of these things, even if his son dies, I wouldn't miss the person, but I'm still not. It's just I've got that whole thing with karma. Even if I dislike someone and even if I don't like someone, I can't be like Hassan Piker and all of these other leftist twats that kind of go on social media in their channels and they go, "Oh, I'm glad that they're dead," because that shit will come. That bad karma will come back on me. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my religious belief, man. Like I can't be doing that. You know, I'm not sad that they're no longer here, but I'm not going to revel and celebrate and be like, yes, I'm so glad that person's dead, because that's just not cool. But yeah, so I think she's a woman anyway. Who are we talking about? Mahmood is a woman, and I'm pretty sure I'm certain. Right, I'll tell you what. Let's look at some of the bits and catch up on YouTube. Gav, you should do a live with Asmongold. I'd love to do a live with Asmongold, but he would know who the hell I am. Mannequin love mushrooms wandering about. I've seen some strange things. Right, let's watch a couple of videos because we haven't done this in a while, have we? So get your thoughts in and we'll have a bit of fun. My little buttercups. My little buttercup has shiny nose. That's from, hey there, why don't you come sit on my lap? What's that film? The Three Amigos. That film, big boy movie. Right, let's let's see what's going on. Oh, this is the march that's been banned.
It comes after quite a lot of pressure from MPs, both Labour and Conservative.
This is the march that's been banned. Yeah,
event, and in the past it has been controversial. It's seen as quite a pro-Iranian event, but the organisers have always said it's actually more pro-Palestinian. But this year it stoked particular controversy for obvious reasons, but also because the organisers expressed support for the Iranian regime, but also said expressed support for the late leader and admiration, calling him a rare role model who chose to stand on the right side of history. Now, it was due to play.
How can you even say it? So they've got these people that are praising the Supreme Leader who died, yeah? And if you look it up yourselves, and I've mentioned it in my videos in the morning, that the Iranian regime, the IRGC, since 1979, the revolution in 1979, over 100,000 people in Iran, citizens, have been executed. 100,000 people. So when you see all of these Free Palestine mob going around, you know, how can you do this to the Palestinians? Well, hang on a second. They're Muslims. The majority of them are Muslims. Majority of Iran, Muslims. Why do you not show that same care for all of your own citizens? We'll get to that in a minute, because there's a lot of these scumbags that are screaming out
Sunday,
for this regime.
Shabana Mahmood has now okayed a police request to ban the march. She added, should a stationary demonstration proceed, the police will be able to apply strict conditions. I expect to see the full force of the law applied to anyone spreading hatred and division instead of exercising their right to peaceful protest.
And she's just done the same thing as well that Keir Starmer's done. They didn't get involved in the war in Iran. They've waited 2 weeks for it to continue on, risking the lives of British civilians that are in those sisterly, brotherly nations where we've got citizens there. He's not sent anyone to go over and help. She does the same thing Keir Starmer does. You don't proactively do something, and I said this last week. They reactively do something. They wait till something happens. They wait to an Axel Ruda Cabana in Southport. They wait till it happens, or they wait to a Manchester bombing, and then they say, "Oh shit, we've got to do something." We've had protests over the last 2 weeks. We saw the horses going through Manchester last week with this pro-IRGC bullshit. So how comes it has to go through all of that? Then when it comes to London, oh, we better stop it now. You should have stopped it 2 weeks ago.
The Islamic Human Rights Commission, they're the group that organises the protest. They said in the past that it's always been peaceful. They've described the decision as politically charged. They've said that the Metropolitan Police have abandoned principles of trying to police without fear or favour. But the Met Police have said that actually the risk of unrest is just too great. They said that the context is so uniquely complex, the risk so severe that placing conditions on the protest will not be sufficient to prevent it from resulting in serious public disorder.
So with all of that, as I say, they're banning this thing for, I believe it was for a couple of months, actually. I don't think it's even for too long. So I'm going to go over to X because I know we've got some posts regarding this and I think we should go through it now that I'm just looking at it. Let's see where it is. Shabana Mahmood. Oh, we'll get to that stuff about the school. It's just constant, isn't it? I can't catch up with everything, you know. Where are you, Shabana Mahmood? Oh my God, and there's another thing as well with Sadiq Khan. We'll get to that as well. Jesus. Shabana Mahmood breaking. Okay, so this is the pro-Iranian march. And what I'm going to show you after this, so she's banned this now. She's gone into Parliament and said, look, we're going to ban this. And I believe that this type of march, the march is for Iran in favour of the regime of the Supreme Leader, the Ayatollah. I believe that they're banning it for, I think it's 30 days or 3 months. I'm sure we'll see in a minute, but it's either 30 days or 3 months. I know it's free something.
Safely managed rightly sits with the police, and the legal test is clear. Any request to prohibit a procession must only be lodged with the aim of preventing serious public disorder that could not otherwise be prevented by imposing other conditions on a public procession under Section 12 of the Public Order Act. Section 12 conditions typically include specifying the route, location and times of a protest. Under normal circumstances, they are sufficient to ensure protests remain peaceful and the public are kept safe. However, the Commissioner has clearly stated that the Metropolitan Police's view is that serious public disorder cannot be avoided unless a prohibition under Section 13 is introduced. This assessment is grounded.
So she's also saying then that a lot of the reason of this protest being stopped isn't because she agrees. I don't know. From what she's saying, it's not that she thinks that what they're doing is wrong. It's that she's concerned that other people might turn up and oppose it. That's kind of how it's come across.
In the tension,
I could do, Justin. I don't know if I would bore people with it.
By international conflict, the scale of the expected march, and the presence of protesters and multiple counter-protesting groups, all seeking to march at once. My first duty is to keep the public safe. Having carefully and thoroughly considered the risk assessment presented to me by the Metropolitan Police, I am satisfied that an order under Section 13 is necessary. For 1 month, there will therefore be a prohibition.
Yeah. So it's not 3 months. It's 30 days, right?
In London, related to Al Quds Day, by protesters and counter-protesters, which will come into effect today and will end on the 11th of April. Should the Commissioner consider
it should be banned, full stop. It shouldn't be allowed in this country, full stop. If you're marching for the IRGC and the pro-regime, you shouldn't be allowed in this country.
Is required, he will be able to make a further submission at that time. I must be clear about what this prohibition does not do. The Police and Home Secretary only have the power to prohibit a public procession. Section 13 cannot be used.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put up a community post and I'll let people vote on it. Because I don't mind doing it. I just thought people might be bored of me doing it because people like 2CTV, he's got a bit more insight being an Iranian. So I can only give my insight and opinion. I can't really give more than what those can give.
A static protest, referred to in the legislation as a public assembly. Should a static demonstration proceed this weekend, the police will not be able to stop it. Instead, they will be able to...
I'll do it though, if people want me to. I like doing it.
Precise location and timing. People will therefore be able to exercise their right to peaceful protest, though the full force of the law will be enforced if hate crimes or other crimes are committed.
There's a bit of a problem there, isn't there?
Such as dictating the precise location and timing. People will therefore be able to exercise their right to peaceful protest, though the full force of the law will be enforced if hate crimes or other crimes are...
But what are hate crimes? Because we've just had that new anti-Muslim law, and all of these people that are going to be protesting will be Muslim. So if English people go there and disagree with it, that would be considered a hate crime, because you're disagreeing with their right to what she says is a peaceful protest. But the peaceful protest is for the pro-IRGC regime.
Are committed.
It's not logical,
Today's
is it?
The announcement is confined to specific circumstances, but I know this will excite scrutiny around the wider issue of policing protests. The House will be aware that I have appointed Lord MacDonald of Riverglaven to carry out an independent review of public order and hate crime legislation. His review is ongoing, and I will update this House on its findings at the soonest possible moment. I would, however, like to make a wider point about the right to protest in this country. What I have announced today is narrowly focused on specific circumstances in a unique moment, but it does not alter an enduring fact. In this country, we rightly pride ourselves on our freedoms, including the right to peaceful protest. It is a precious right, and one that I revere, and it sets us apart from autocracies of all kinds across the world. This prohibition is therefore limited and specific. It bans marches, but not static demonstrations in relation to Al-Quds Day.
But that doesn't make sense, because... So we're not... I think it goes to a lot of what you lot have been saying in the chat, that the reason we've not got involved with the Iran war isn't because we don't necessarily believe that it's wrong or that they're not a threat. It's due to fear, because she's only banning it for 30 days. Because if she does it any longer, there will be an uprising of the Muslims in this country. And that doesn't mean all of them, because the people that support the Shah, the Prince of Iran, or, you know, his dad, the former prince, the son, the people that support him are not going to cause us any trouble. They're not. They're just not. They're happy that this is happening because they want freedom. It's your extremists, your jihadists, your flipping Islamists in this country, and we've got a lot of them.
This prohibition is therefore limited and specific. It bans marches, but not static demonstrations in relation to Al-Quds Day. Equally, I must add, there is no prohibition on protesting against the plight of Palestinians, and there never will be. Hundreds of protests have already taken place across the country this year in solidarity with Palestinians, and the Met alone have policed 32. Peaceful and lawful protest, whether for Palestine or for Israel or for any other cause, must be cherished and protected, and this government will always defend.
Like Species says there in the chat, it's the same reason the Australians locked the fire escape to try and stop the Iranian women team escaping. Like, how disgusting is it that the Western culture and civilization of the Christian population are trying to force Iranian women to go back to Iran, knowing full well that they will probably be executed, you know? They will probably be executed. But how can you have that on your conscience?
That sacred freedom. At the same time, as Home Secretary, I have a solemn duty, and it is my first duty, to keep the British people safe. I have been presented with the assessment of the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police that he cannot guarantee the security of our capital and prevent serious public disorder without a prohibition on processions relating to...
So, Seven, did they actually send them all back? Because I saw that yesterday with the girls on the coaches, but did they... I heard that one girl had decided to go back, but was it all of them? Because if it's all of them, we will never hear of them again.
Could stay. Having reviewed his assessment, it is clear to me that my duty to the public and their safety dictates that I must accept his request. It is right that we prohibit these processions while continuing to uphold our ancient commitments to the freedoms that we are rightly proud of. And that is the balance, Madam Deputy Speaker, that I have sought to strike today, and I commend the statement to the House.
Yeah, so that kind of is a walking contradiction, and it shows you just how corrupt our government is here, and like you guys are saying in Australia, because if we're part of the United Nations, NATO, and all of these things that are supposed to be keeping the West safe, as they say, and the rights of women and the rights of ladies, well, those ladies, Iranian ladies in Australia, if they're being forced, as I say, to go back to Iran, and some of them escaped, even having this conversation, those women will not be alive by the time the weekend comes. And how can we then claim, like the government says, claim to be about protecting people and doing the right thing if we allow that? Like, those are actually people in need of help. They're not the people that are coming over on a boat illegally and entering the country and abusing people. We're talking about women that are asking for help. That's different, you know. It's very, 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 very disturbing, man. That whole thing's very, very disturbing. So I just wanted to quickly actually show you something. So that video there that Shabana Mahmood put out, I want to show you the response from the Muslim community in this country, because there's some absolute psychopaths. They're not pro-Iranian marches. Why doesn't even Great Britain News, GB News, sorry, get this? You've seen the pro-Iranian marches for the last 2 months. This ain't that. This is a pro-Islamic regime. Yeah, that I agree with. Pro-IRGC, not Iranian. Massive difference. Get it right. Well, there are some smart people here. If all such marches had been banned from October 2022 onwards, the UK would be a much better place today. Completely agree with that. Why they allowed the pro-Palestine marches and they're still disrupting the UK? Agreed. I'm quite surprised, because I'm pretty sure I saw some very, very negative. Oh, it's because it's a GB News one. Here we go. This is what you've got. The people in this country who are pro IRGC. I mean, it's in subtitles, so I'll read it out. We're waiting. When the dust settles, with this unrest settles, we'll grab you by the collar, every single one of you, and that's already happening. Confiscating your property is nothing, and will make your mothers mourn you. Those of you who are now foolish ideas and think that ideas are chaotic, this message is for you, both inside the country and outside. Cut this clip and send it to anyone who likes hearing this. So basically, anyone who doesn't agree, this is, as I say, the IRGC side, the pro-Ayatollah, is saying Iranians who do not fall in line, we're going to make, your mothers are going to mourn you. So those girls that are going back there, I feel it's fucking disgusting. That's so sick. Right, this is the one. Okay. So yeah, she put out, Shabana Mahmood put this, this was out this morning before she'd done the speech, obviously. Bushra, here she goes. Listen to this crazy bitch. Weak, pathetic sellout. So she means a sellout to Muslims. That's what she's referring to. She's not talking about anything else. She's talking about Muslims. Weak, pathetic sellout. Hope dumping your values for this career was worth losing respect. Shame on you. So working for the United Kingdom in the United Kingdom's best interests and the people of this country is a sellout. That there, my friends, is a jihadist. That there is a danger to this country, and I don't give a shit what anyone says. Dr. Ramon, this is the woman who's been suspended for her pro-Palestine speeches and tweets. Anyone can support Palestine, and I think you've got every right to do that. But that's not really what she did. Her rhetoric is more of, let's erase anyone who's a Jewish person. So she was suspended from her position as a doctor in the United Kingdom. I wouldn't want her to see anyone I know. This woman, I think she's a nutter. She says to Shabana Mahmood, you've disgraced yourself in this life, and God willing, we will see you disgraced in the hereafter. So these people are like, these are fucking nutters. Like, these are absolute nutters. Nutters. May God never forgive you for being a treacherous Muslim Zionist. Do you see what I mean? So, and our government is afraid of this, you know, it's threats, and they work as groups, and it's crazy, dude. Yeah, Shabana, you're a brown woman who hasn't learnt a thing or two from your predecessor, like Priti Patel, who were used as gatekeepers and foot soldiers of white supremacy, only to be thrown out when push came to shove. It's nothing to do with that, dude. Wow. They're crazy, aren't they? What went wrong? You can tell us if the orange are blackmailing you. You see what I mean? So Muslims turn on their own, throw her to the lions because she's actually doing a job that she was employed to do in England for the English people. So when you say, it isn't all Muslims, of course it isn't all Muslims, but there's a large segment of this type of Muslim in the country, and there's fear within the government of saying anything. It's crazy. Yeah, no worries. The British Bulldog shall return. Right, my children, I'm going to leave it there. I think you've had enough of me for one day. You've had a couple of hours of me waffling on, haven't you? I'll post another video in the morning at 9 a.m. So there'll be another video of me going off on one. And I'll probably be back live tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then on Friday. So I'll keep you all posted. Thank you for joining me for this little adventure into the Mandelson files. I'll leave up the video anyway so people can watch this back. But videos will be coming out at 9 a.m. every morning, which seem to be doing really well at the moment. So if you haven't seen all the videos this week, go and check them out because I'm kind of going off on one. But yeah, thank you for joining me, ladies and gents, and I'll see all of you very, very soon. Peace and love. Peace and love.